The intention behind this video is not to scare you all, but did you know that only 1 in every 4 aspirants who receive calls from business schools are able to convert them? I didn't either, but I guess now we both know that. Hi everyone, my name is Priya Chatterjee Ray and welcome back to the channel. For those of you who don't know me, I took the CAT in 2020 and I received interview calls from IIM Ahmedabad, Bangalore, Calcutta, Lucknow, Indore, Kozhikode, all the IIM SAP colleges and CAP colleges, that is all the new IIMs and baby IIMs. I also received interview calls from XLRI for their HR and BM roles and from SPGen for a profile-based interview call which I got in January. I was lucky enough to have been able to convert all my calls, and I finally joined the Indian Institute of Management Ahmedabad and graduated from there in 2023. But that's enough about me, and let's talk about what I said right at the beginning of this video and what I hope is why you clicked on this video in the first place. It's a common misconception that exams like CAT, XAT, NMAT, IIFT, SNAP, etc. are the most difficult hurdle to cross when it comes to your business school entrance period, right? It's something that we always think would be the most grueling process, but in reality it is the personal interview and the written ability test which is far more challenging. And logically, when you think about it, it makes sense. At this stage, you are now competing with the cream of all those who are applying to these top business schools. So the competition is bound to increase manifold. And at that point, the question to ask yourself becomes, how ready are you for your place for that seat? What is your game plan? How do you plan to get an edge over your competition? And that's what I'm hoping to address in this video. The one thing that you need to understand about the key difference between an MBA entrance exam and an MBA personal interview is that while the former is a method of elimination to remove the riffraff or the chaff from the crowd, from the cream, the latter, which is the personal interview, becomes a method of selection. You're now in what we call the big leagues, and the person next to you wants that B school seat as bad as you do and has probably worked just as hard as you have, or maybe even more. So it becomes very important for you to sit and understand what distinguishes them from you and how do you get into an interview room and make your presence felt and make sure that you guarantee yourself a seat at the top institute of your choice. And that is why it is so important for you to have an infallible game plan, which is what I'm here to present you with. Of course, in my quest to help you get into the best business school of your dreams, I am also assisted by my friends at Inside IIM who have come out with season 4 of their MBA admissions bootcamp, which is basically a What PI program that puts you in touch with current business school students and alumni from some of the top business schools. And since these students and alumni have actually been through this grueling process themselves, they can train you and help and guide you to make sure that you smash every interview that comes your way. I'll speak a little bit more about them at the end of this video, but if you want to stop right now and sign up for their bootcamp, I will leave a link to the bootcamp in the description box below, and you can use my code PRIYA10 to get a 10% off on your signups. Now, of course, before I speak a little bit more about the bootcamp, let me just give you my advice when it comes to GDPI preparation, right? So the first thing that I would say right now is to please take out a piece of pen and paper or a device that will take down dictation notes while I tell you everything that there is about this process so that you don't miss anything out, right? So let's take it one by one. The first thing, or the most important thing that I'm asked, or the thing that I'm asked most often, is when do you start preparing for your GDPIs? Now, I'll explain this to you with my example. In our year, the XAT exam took place on the 3rd of January. And that is the day I started preparing for my GDPIs. My first interview was at the end of January 2021 or right at the beginning of February 2021. So it gave me a complete month to prepare. So going by my experience, I do feel that it takes you at least a month to get into the entire groove of group discussions and PIs. And therefore, whenever your calls come out, make sure that you do have at least 30 days of preparation or a month's preparation before you go into your actual PI. So the next thing we need to discuss is the kind of preparation that you need to do for these GDs, PIs, etc. And I'll deal with personal interviews first, right? Without complicating things too much, I think that the PI is split into three major sections. The first section is your profile and HR based questions. The second part is your academics and your work experience. And the third part is general knowledge. Now, for the profile and HR based questions, this basically covers every aspect of your past. It includes questions like tell me about yourself, introduce yourself, why do you want to do an MBA, why do you want to do an MBA from this particular college, why do you prefer an IIM Ahmedabad over an IIM Bangalore, where do you see yourself in 5 years, in 10 years, in 15 years, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, etc. There is a whole list of these HR questions that exist, and I have compiled a document with all of the possible HR questions that I could think of. If you want access to the same, make sure that you leave your email ID in the comments of the LinkedIn post I will leave in the description box, and I will send it across to you at the earliest. I will just explain to you what my approach to this part of the PI was, right? What I did on the basis of the advice I got from my mentor was that I took my entire life up to my PI's point and I split it into the basic highlights, key moments or milestones, right? So my class 10 score, my class 12 score, my graduation score, my debating wins, my college organizing a fest, my school organizing a fest, me being debate captain, me being social service captain, etc. All of these became milestones and key methods that I basically created stories around. Now, how did I create stories around this? I used something known as the STAR method, STAR, situation, task, action, and result. And let me explain to you what this means. It's quite a common concept used by all PI gurus, but it basically means that you take any key moment in your life. For example, my college organizing a fest, that's the moment. And you build a story around it using this method. So the situation is that the college is organizing the fest. The task for me was hospitality for the artists who are coming. So that is whoever is coming to perform. In our case, I think that year was Ritviz. So that's the task. The action is everything that I had to do to make sure the hospitality was top notch. So, ensuring that the bookings were done, that his flight was on time, that the contracts were signed, that the payment was made, that whatever he needed in the room was there, that there was ample amount of time for him to come from the airport to the hotel to the college, and just making sure that he had a good time. And the result is that I became a more responsible person. I got better at handling something like a supply chain. My logistical abilities became better, and also that Ritviz and I are still friends to this date. And last time I saw him at a concert, he waved at me from the crowd, and then I met him backstage as well. So that is the STAR method, and this basically helps you frame your entire key moment or any achievement in your life in a more cohesive, holistic way. So now you basically, when you describe something in the STAR method, you have like a 20-30 second description of each of these events, and what you basically have to do is practice them again and again. And whenever you're asked a question, you just have to use these key moments by fitting them around the question that is asked of you. So if one of the questions in the interview, which was actually asked of me, was tell me about a time you dealt with a crisis, or tell me about the time when you faced an ethical dilemma, or tell me about the time when you learnt the lesson of responsibility, etc., etc. I'll take the same story of me handling the artist management for my college fest, and I will frame it in a way such that it answers the question. By extension of these key moments, you should also be very, very well versed in your co-curricular activities, your extracurricular activities, and your hobbies. Now, what do I mean by being well versed? You basically need to have a story about what you did, what your achievements were, if there were any, more importantly, what you learned and how those learnings are applicable in your MBA. For example, in one of my MBA interviews, you will soon find out which one, I was asked about the classical dance form that I had trained in for over 10 years, but the discussion was not about the dance form that I had done. We the professors asked me what the form was and which state it was from. But after that, the entire conversation roamed around what were my learnings from being a dancer and how that would be applicable in MBA. To answer it shortly, it was that being a dancer taught you discipline, and that discipline is something that you need as a student. The next section that I have to talk to you about is academics. And since I was a fresher, my mentor told me that this is something that the interviewers would really, really stress on. And it was going to be one of the areas that I was going to be grilled on. Of course, this is not just limited to freshers. It doesn't matter how many years of experience, work experience you have. I know people with 3+, 4+ years of work experience being asked questions about things they did at the undergraduate level and subjects they studied then. So make sure that you are very well prepared with your entire undergraduate syllabus. How you have to do this is basically you take a few subjects, take maybe 2 subjects that form the bedrock of your undergraduate degree. Since I'm an economics student, this for me was microeconomics and macroeconomics. Take a subject that you are really good at and that you really enjoyed. For this, it was input-output analysis for me because this was a niche subject, but I really enjoyed it. And take a subject that you were probably not very good at, in the sense that you might have scored a little lower in it than your other subjects. So for this, it was econometrics to me. And you revise the shit out of it. I like to tell the story to anyone who would listen. I probably studied more for economics for my MBA admission interviews than I actually did to pass the course. And I did very well in my course. What I basically did is I read the basic textbooks of eco, micro and macro, cover to cover. So that's Pindyke and Rubenfield and Mankiw cover to cover. I learned up definitions, I tried to understand examples, and I supplemented those examples with my own understanding and my own analogies, etc. I tried making notes wherever necessary so that if anything was asked of me of these subjects, I would have it at my fingertips. What is also important is to have an answer as to why you probably didn't score as well in your low scoring subject as well. And to be honest, I was very honest. But I was very honest with my answer. I told them that I just didn't enjoy econometrics so much, so I didn't focus on it too much, and it probably showed in my scores. It's like, I think, in my opinion, they really prefer honesty. So that's what I went with, and it helped in my case. They just asked me why my scores were bad, and when I told them why they were bad, they were like, okay, fine, let's move on. And they didn't even ask me any questions about economics. So yeah, econometrics. So yeah. Of course, as an extension to this, I would also suggest that you brush up on any elective subjects that you had. In my case, that was mathematics. So I did do like the basics of college level elective math as well. This is also important for non-math students who don't have math in college. It is very often that professors will ask you to solve some basic level math at the interview. This includes things like graphs, functions, calculus, permutation and combinations, statistics, and by extension, puzzles as well. So do brush up on your skills. Don't just forget math now that CAT is over. Revise the basic concepts from your class 12 books if need be. Okay. At this point, I will also talk to you about the people with work experience. And this, of course, I didn't have any work experience myself, but I've asked my friends who had work experience to just collate any data that they had about the kind of questions they were asked. So for whatever work experience you have, it is very important for you to be completely in touch with the company that you worked for and the area that you worked in, right? Whatever the industry was or whatever the product was, etc., right? So you need to know things like, for example, if your company is listed, what their stock position is, what are the revenue trends, market cap, if it has a Fortune 500 rank, what is its ownership structure like, details about the founder, the CEO, the employee count, if there's a global presence, if there have been any recent mergers and acquisitions in the company or in the industry as a whole. Figure out how certain things work in your company, be it the supply chain or the product itself. Know who are the competitors, know who are your customers, so basically your target, your segmentation, all of that. What are the products, what are the key verticals, So all of these and any possible technical questions that can come up with work experience should be covered very, very well. If you do come from work experience, I have heard that at least 50% of your interview just revolves around this aspect itself. And after grilling you about your company and your industry, etc., they actually move in to an extension of HR questions by again asking you what your learnings were and how those learnings are helpful in an MBA classroom. They will also ask you why you want to leave your job and do an MBA right now and all of that. So make sure that you're prepared for such questions as well. Before I go into discussing the GK section, let me speak to you a little bit about the Inside IIM bootcamp, right? And why I think that it's the best option for you in terms of GDPI preparation beyond this video. Remember in the beginning of the video, I told you that only 1 in 4 people who receive calls are actually able to convert them. When you look at the stats at Inside IIM, in the last 3 years, Inside IIM has worked with about 240 students and they have a 96% success rate. They have helped students get into the top IIMs, be it Ahmedabad, Bangalore, Calcutta, Lucknow, Indore, Kozhikode, be it, they've also helped people get into XLRI, FMS, SPGen, NMIMS, SIBM, and other top colleges, right? The program is a completely personalized program with one-to-one mentorship and one-to-one mock interviews, and it is priced at the quite, let's just say, very, very cheap price of rupees 9,999. Moreover, with my code, which is Priya10, you get a 10% discount on joining, and that just makes the whole thing very, very affordable for the things that you're going to get. And let me just tell you what all you're getting, right? You get 10 plus live sessions to help you prepare for interviews. You get all the study materials on current affairs and domain specific business content, so you don't have to do any work on your own. You get assistance in editing your CVs and your statements of purpose, so they look as polished as the best ones out there. You get 2 one-on-one mentorship sessions where you get a personalized roadmap for you to ace your interviews and get detailed inputs on how to prepare for interviews basis your profile. In this video, I'm giving you a very general basic approach, right? About what anyone with any subject, with any work experience can do. With this program, you get inputs on what you specifically need to do, right? After all of this preparation, you get 5 live mock interviews, which are mediated by MBA alumni, followed by detailed feedback, which is where you will find me. I'll be taking some of these interviews. You will get 15 mock written ability tests, followed by an in-depth evaluation to improve your skills. You will get assistance on B-School and on-campus domain selection. So once you've converted your calls, deciding what the best B-School for you is and what specialization you should go for. And finally, free access to domain-specific masterclasses to build your profile. Phew, I have run out of breath telling you all the amazing things that you get with this program. If I still haven't convinced you, I hope some of the stats that I'm sharing on the screen will help you go ahead and make the correct choice. But let's get back to the preparation strategies for now. Okay, so the third and final part of the PI is what is known as the general knowledge section, right? Now, general knowledge itself can be broken up into static GK and current GK. Now, static GK is basically history. Whatever has happened, these are facts that are fixed and won't change. And it covers things like facts about your city, about your name, about the city in which you went to college, the city in which the IIM or the business school that you are interviewing for is. For example, I live in Calcutta, so I was asked about the history of Calcutta. I went to St. Xavier's College, so I was asked about St. Xavier and who he was. I was asked questions like what the IM logo means, where it's from. So you have to learn things like what are the logos, what the logos mean, what are the catchphrases for, not the catchphrases, the taglines for these colleges. So IMA has a Sanskrit tagline, I think, which I have now forgotten, but I had learned it for my interview. So all of these are static things that you need to remember. Of course, the best place to learn about all of this is to just do a quick cursory Google search, use Wikipedia, and rely on the websites of the business schools for which you're interviewing. And to, of course, if you have access to the Inside IIM program, just look at the current affairs and static material and business specific material that they give you. Beyond this, what becomes more important is general knowledge in terms of current affairs. And for the people who are interviewing in 2024, I would suggest you have about a year's preparation of current affairs. Now, if you are not a newspaper reader, I can imagine how that's a daunting prospect. So I'll tell you what I had done. Any of the CAT or UPSC preparation websites out there publish something known as a manthan, which is basically a summary of all the news articles, the more important news articles which have come out in the past 1 month. So they summarize everything and give it to you for in a PDF format. So you just have to read through that and understand what has basically happened and just keep some notes of it if necessary. You are starting your GDPI preparation today. You should have the months from maybe January 2023 to December 2023, and that will give you enough background knowledge to go into your actual current affairs preparation. Now, assuming that you're starting GDPI prep today, reading newspapers becomes very important. And I know no one wants to hear this. I particularly hated reading the newspaper. But when it came to my time and preparing for my MBA interviews, I did sit and read 3 newspapers every day, in addition to reading the editorials that they came with. This helps in 2 things. First, it gives you a lot of preparation in terms of your written ability test, because the editorials are written in really good English. So you understand argumentation and you understand better or finer aspects of English, which actually helps you in your written ability test. And second, and more importantly, when it actually comes to your interview, the interviewer is not going to ask you facts as such when it comes to current affairs. They're going to be very opinion-based questions. They'll ask you if you think that the declarations that were signed at the G20 summit were beneficial for India. They will ask you if you think that the G20 was a success or not. Okay, I think that covers what I think is necessary in terms of the heavy material that goes into GDPI preparation, the 3 basic areas. Now let's do some real talk. You can have all of the theoretical preparation possible for your interview and it could still amount to nothing at all, because the most important aspect of any personal interview is your delivery. What I mean by that is that, of course, personal interviews are a test of your knowledge, your preparedness, etc. But more than that, it is a test to see how you deal with pressure, with stress, what your actual personality is. Because when you are sitting across interviewers, they are not just looking at you as future students, they are looking at you as future alumni of the institutes that they represent. And for that, you have to have the kind of striking personality that the kind of personality that they'll be able to mold into something that they will be proud of. And all of this makes your delivery the most important thing. It is about how you talk and how you carry yourself. And of course, for this, there are 4 major tips that you should keep in mind. So the first thing to remember is to keep it simple. Don't try to use complicated terminologies in your interview. Of course, you are going to be revising your entire undergraduate syllabus. You will learn every technical term that there is to learn about your work experience. But when it comes to discussing this with an interviewer, break it down into bite-sized pieces so that you can explain the concept to them instead of using technical jargon or scientific terms. Because not everyone has the same level of expertise or interest in a particular subject as you do. So it becomes very important that you explain it to them in a way that they understand. And honestly, no one likes a smart ass in an interview or in a classroom, to be very honest. So in short, be like Rancho, not like Chatur. The next thing to remember is to be completely honest. Don't lie about anything. The interviewers are quite experienced. From my own experiences of being at the interview, I know that these people come with 5-10 years of experience doing these interviews, right? So they know what's going on in the mind of the students. They've been students themselves, because oftentimes even alumni of the institutions that you are interviewing for become the interviewers. So they've been in your place and they know what is going through our minds. Don't try to trick them. if you don't know something, just admit that you don't know it. Say, I'm sorry, I can't recall it, or I'm sorry, I don't know what that is, but I'll look it up, and move on. Don't try to act smart and pretend like you know something you don't. You are only digging yourself into a hole that is much deeper than the one you found yourself in the first place. Third, and this is an important one, and it took me some time to understand this as well, don't take extreme stances. No matter what your particular belief about an issue is, no matter what your political leanings are, when you are sitting at an interview, make sure that you go in with a neutral stance. Of course, this doesn't mean that you just give a neutral answer and come back. You discuss the pros of any question that is asked of you, you discuss the cons, and then you just softly, kindly put across what you think is, if the pros outweigh the cons or vice versa, and move on. And the fourth aspect to remember is to not panic. I've said this in the beginning and I'll say it again. This is a test of selection, and the professors are looking forward to you joining the business school. So don't give them a reason to eliminate you. Just be calm and collected. It doesn't matter if you've said I don't know 5 times. It doesn't matter if your views are different from that of the interviewer. It doesn't matter if the interviewer is making an angry face as if you don't know what you're talking about. Those are all stress situations that you will find yourself in. You just have to stay calm. Be firm, be confident. Remember that stressful situations like this will arise every day in B school, and the professors are just checking to see if you can deal with them when they arise. So remember to not panic. So what did I say about delivery? Keep it simple, be honest, don't take extreme stances, don't panic. Now, it's very easy, and I've said that your delivery is the most important thing, and these are the 4 things that you have to keep in mind to make sure that you don't mess up your delivery. But how do you actually put this into practice? Simple. You practice. And what do I mean by this? By this, I mean that you speak to yourself in the mirror if need be. You conduct interviews with your friends and family if need be. Just keep practicing. Make use of all the mock interviews you could possibly get. I personally was enrolled in 2 coaching centers, so I used to constantly call them up and tell them to arrange for stress interviews with me so that I could speak to mentors face to face, and they could grill me on my HR questions and my background to make sure that I was prepared. The Inside IIM program, again, is a great opportunity for you to do this because you will get one-on-one mock interviews with MBA alumni and current students. And if you still want to continue doing more mock interview practices, I am also available. You just have to reach out to me on Telegram, and I will send you all the details of how you can get in touch with me to be able to schedule such a PI. If you think that preparing for the CAT exams was tough, buddy, you don't know what you've signed up for, because now that all of your success is within touching distance, you should have the fire lit under your bum to make sure that you do everything that is possibly in your power to convert the call that you get. It doesn't matter how many calls you've got, just one conversion of the college that you want is all you need. So make sure you give it your all while not stressing too much. Again, at this stage, I think that this video has gone on for too long, so I will stop talking. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, comment, ring the notification bell, do all of that. Make sure you leave your email in the LinkedIn post so that I can send you the HR questions. Make sure to check out Inside IIMs What PI MBA Admissions Bootcamp, and make sure that you use my code PRIYA10 to get 10% off on the bootcamp. I think that ends the video, so I will stop talking now. Bye.